Okay, so Fish and Loaves, mostly everyone is familiar with it, but we are a client choice food pantry located in Taylor, and we serve 7 communities downriver and beyond. One of those which being Southgate. We are the largest client choice food pantry in the state of Michigan, and we are on track this year to distribute 2.8 million pounds of food to over 75,000 individuals downriver. Big numbers. A lot of good work, but it takes a lot of people, time, and money to make that happen. We are totally volunteer-based, so we have anywhere from 25 to 45 different volunteers in there every day who help not only receive the food, sort it, pack it, but put it on our shelves. I mentioned we're a client choice pantry. We are set up like a grocery store. So all of that food that has to be put onto the shelves for our clients to shop, of course everything's free, but to shop and choose the items that they like. And in our pantry we have options, of course shelf stable, but also dairy, frozen meat, fresh produce, bread, desserts, etc. So Angela can speak to it because she's there once a month. It's looks like a mini grocery store. So the whole mission and point of having that model is to create the most respectful environment and provide the most dignity we can to somebody who is experiencing a food emergency. So, ways we get our food. One, our 2 largest partners are Gleaners and Forgotten Harvest. Gleaners is the wholesaler. I can separate those 2 organizations. They deal with directly from the farms, from the food distributors, from the government, the USDA. And we purchase the food through them, through the USDA. Forgotten Harvest is the grocery store rescue, so they're the ones driving around every single day to Sam's, Walmart, Kroger, Meijer, rescuing food that would otherwise, before them, be thrown away. All perfectly good, edible food. Through those 2 sources, those are our biggest sources of food. But on top of that, we do community food drives, partnering with schools, with organizations. We partner with other local food distributors, and we pick up ourselves, like from Bimbo's in Riverview. They donate to us every single week. Bimbo's in Taylor, all the desserts and breads and things like that. So we also do some of that pickup as well with our local distributors. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the food drive that's happening right now. Every year, 4 Rotary clubs get together, and Southgate, Dearborn Heights, Brownstown, Woodhaven, and Taylor, they come together to write a group grant. Is that the best way I can say that? And they also do a food drive throughout the community. So they raise $4,000 for Fish and Loaves through that grant, and then they try to raise as much food as possible through the month of October. We're going to go through, I think it's October 23rd. Yep. So if you're interested, if Chris has not yet contacted you, or if you have never heard of this, if you're interested in having a box at your location, please just let me know, or anyone at Rotary, Fran or Steve, and we can get you a box so that you can have that in your location through October 23rd. And as long as you let us know, we will have those picked up for you. You don't have to then take them to Fish and Loaves. So yeah, if you're interested, just let us know. Last year, I believe we raised over 2,500 pounds of food just in this food drive, and so we're hoping to beat that this year. Yeah, I've talked a lot, so does anyone have any questions so far? Go ahead.
How often is, I guess, the typical person receives food care, if I can use that word from you? Is it a couple months and then they go on to hopefully bigger and better things? Do you see them for years and years?
There's 2 answers to that, Andrew. So one is they can come to Fish and Loaves every other month because we're an emergency food outlet. But in the larger aspect, we'll see people stay with us for long term, especially if they're on a fixed income. You know, mainly our seniors or our homebound individuals. We don't have limits on how long you can be with us, but that is the population that we see with us the longest because they can't pick up an extra shift, things like that. You're on a fixed income, and as long as we can save you a bill and you can age in place longer, absolutely fine with us. The individuals that we see who are with us for a shorter period of time and leave are young families. right? As costs rise unexpectedly and things like that, people with young families, larger families, we see them come to us for that extra help. And then, once they're through that hump, then leave us. I hope that answers your question. I pulled up, go ahead.
How often is it open?
We're open 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, which is closed on Thursdays. And then we also offer our Saturday Fresh Market program on Saturdays, obviously. And that is open to anybody, no matter, there's no residency requirements or income requirements. And it's a drive-through program, and we give 30 pounds of fresh produce and a gallon of milk to everybody who comes through. When we first started this program in 2020, we were seeing maybe like 25 cars every Saturday. We now on average serve 800 cars every Saturday. Yes. If you ever want to volunteer or come by on a Saturday, it is an operation. They've got it down to a science, and they move cars like crazy. And it's a 3-hour time span, and they get all 800 cars through. It's pretty unbelievable.
So if you wanted to volunteer, you're open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, but you're also open on Saturday?
Yep.
Every
and
Saturday?
I'm sorry?
Every Saturday.
Every Saturday.
So if you wanted to volunteer, do you have to call up and reserve and tell you they're coming, or just show up, or?
During the week, we ask that you call. For Saturdays, there's an online link that you can sign up. You can sign up your group, you can sign up yourself as an individual, you can sign up your family, whatever you'd like, and I can share that with the Rotary group afterwards. It's on our website, but I can just send you the link if anyone's interested. Yeah, and it's very simple to sign up that way. During the week, we just ask that you call because we have set volunteers, and so we wouldn't want you to come on a day that we're full, and then there's nothing to
Gotcha.
really do. I put this data together just to show you the stark increase from last year to this year. As you can see, like households and clients served, we're clients and individuals, I'll use that word interchangeably, but we're up 50% from last year. We've already served 20,000 more individuals this year than we did compared to 2022. Pounds of food distributed. I don't know if I mentioned this, but last year we distributed around 2.3 million pounds of food. We're already almost 400,000 pounds over that this year, and we're on track to do 2.8 this year, just to show the increase. Go ahead, Trev.
So, I mean, it's getting bigger and bigger. I know the prices are going up, so more people are gonna come. Do they register for this, or do they have an income level, or? So it's not, they don't just show up and pick up food?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, maybe the first appointment they show up, pick up food, and then you get their information?
We are appointment based, but if someone came and knocked on the door, we would assist them. Appointment based is really important for us because we're a grocery store model. So we have to control the flow. But if someone came and knocked on our door, they just heard about us, they couldn't, maybe they called us on a Thursday, didn't know we were closed, they showed up Friday morning, we would assist them right then and there, of course. The requirements, one is residency. So to be able to use us every other month, you have to live in one of our 7 communities. Allen Park, Brownstown, Dearborn Heights, Romulus, Southgate, Taylor, Woodhaven. You have to live in one of those communities in order to be a regular client. You'll see on here, emergency clients is everyone else. Prior to COVID, prior to 2020, we really didn't see a lot of emergency clients because there were so many smaller, I'll call it for lack of a better word, mom and pop pantries throughout the region. Whether it was in your local church, at your school, etc. COVID really hurt those smaller pantries quite a bit. And since 2020 and beyond, we've seen that so many of those smaller pantries have closed. Prior to 2020, those emergency numbers, like we now on average every month over 200 roughly emergency visits. Prior to COVID, we were maybe seeing 20, 15, because there were so many pantries in other communities that, you know, we serve our 7 communities because at the time of our founding and throughout, those communities historically didn't have a pantry to serve, so Fish and Loaves filled that void. But all the other communities had a strong pantry at the time, so if someone happened to come in from Wyandotte, and they needed food right then and there, we'd help them, but then we'd say, hey, this is your local pantry in your community, this is who you can connect up with. We found since that this emergency number has just exploded. All 66,000 pounds of food already given just to that emergency population of people, and we're up 76% this year over last year, and last year was already a huge increase for us in that emergency pool. So, yeah, go ahead, Troy.
I hate to ask another question,
Go,
but,
please.
so is there programs, I mean, the number keeps going up, are there programs to help people get off this list?
Yeah,
Sure,
so,
okay.
during the pandemic, so SNAP benefits everyone's familiar with. During the pandemic, those benefits were increased because of the pandemic. In February of this year, that extra increase went away. And food costs in February of this year were much higher than they were throughout the pandemic. And so that rippling effect, along with just the rise in cost of living alone, rent, utilities, groceries, etc., that coupled with some benefits being reduced or lost, has really created a little bit of a snowball effect for people needing assistance.
Okay.
So there are programs, tons of programs to help people. The problem is, if you're facing a food emergency, that's probably not your only emergency that you're facing. You're probably also dealing with some type of housing issue, some type of utility issue, maybe medical debt, maybe student loan debt, you name it. We see that across the board at the pantry. So we partner with a ton of different organizations, Angela being one from Lakeshore Legal Aid. They're in our pantry once a month to help any of our clients who need legal assistance. We have a Medicare and Medicaid rep in the pantry almost every day, Medicare every day, Medicaid almost every day, to help people navigate that system. As we know, it's extremely complicated. And Medicaid, not to continue to drown on about all these separate programs, but same thing during COVID. Medicaid, no one was kicked off the rolls. They put a moratorium on leaving anyone off the rolls. Typically Medicaid, you have to re-enroll every single year. So they just ended that in June or July of this year, and the only notification you received was a letter to your home. But if your address or anything wasn't updated in the last 3 years since COVID, you might not know you're losing your Medicaid benefits until you take your kid to the doctor and realize you don't have benefits anymore. So it's kind of just compounded this problem across the board. But we have a Medicaid rep in the building. Frequently, every week we have a housing and utility rep in the building through Wayne Metro. We bring the Wayne State Mobile Health Unit out monthly to help with anyone if they need any type of blood tests, blood pressure medication, blood pressure checks, flu shots, vaccines, anything that they might need, we have it on site. So you can kind of cross a few things off your list when you come to the pantry, other than just getting food.
So Wayne State, was that nursing students or?
They actually have a mobile health truck. It's registered nurses on the truck.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're just here. I got my flu shot from them this week. They are great. Yeah, and they can do a pretty wide variety of things just from their mobile unit. And speaking to the nurse there, she's strictly mobile unit. She takes that van all over every day and tries to hit some of these areas that don't get served.
Was that like ran by Wayne State, so to speak?
Yep.
I didn't know they did that.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
really cool.
It's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Stephanie, I wanted to ask, to get back to the food.
Yeah.
You know, when you talk about no expiration, you know, the food, I don't know, it's probably been 3 or 4 years, but I worked at a food pantry with the Scouts. It was with the Girl Scouts when my grandgirls were doing those. And they would take it like 2 years, you know, expiration, like. So I don't know, is yours different? Do you just take that year, or?
So we follow the USDA guidelines. So it depends what it is, right? Shelf-stable can is different than a gallon of milk.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so anything that's like refrigerated in that aspect, we can have it on the shelf up until 7 days past the state, per USDA guidelines. Past that, we can't accept it, we can't give it. Shelf-stable items though, as long as it's properly marked. So we can have it unmarked, I believe, don't quote me on this, I don't have it memorized, but unmarked up until I believe 6 months. But obviously it's still dated. Unmarked just means that we're not highlighting the can. After that, we call it like X out and double X out items. So we can have it up until I believe 18 months past its date. And I will if this is something we're really interested in, I'll confirm all of this on the USDA site, you have the dates, but, yeah, the expiration dates are kind of like the Wild Wild West. They're unregulated,
Yeah.
they don't follow any set standard.
Yeah,
And so, for my personal opinion, I can't stand them, but I always just say, you know, there's a lot of things the USDA provides that helps you deal with shelf-stable food, besides the date, that is really helpful.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, I was just wondering.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I did, helped with is sorting the food.
Yeah.
This date gone,
Yeah.
or if it's dented, or.
Right, we don't
you
take any
know,
dented or damaged
you have to
items.
Sort all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And then, anything that's frozen is, fun fact, I learned this at a food safety class, anything that's properly frozen is good forever, unless it's been thawed and refrozen. And so,
What is properly frozen?
it hasn't been thawed, refrozen, thawed, refrozen, thawed, refrozen. So if it was just the item and then frozen, it's good forever. And you'll notice, a good sign is when something gets frost or freezer burn, that means it's been like thawed and refrozen. Just a fun fact for you, but, it's good, according to food safety class, good forever. And so, the only item that my food safety teacher taught that is, can potentially be dangerous is ice cream, which is very interesting. Once it starts to melt, to refreeze it, she said is one of the easiest ways to get food poisoning. Yeah. I didn't know that, because I've eaten a lot of
No,
remelted ice
I
cream.
can't hear very well. What'd you say about that, about ice cream? If you
If
melt
it starts to,
it?
if it gets melted and then you refreeze it, it's easy to get, foodborne illness.
Food poisoning?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I was making a milkshake.
Oh.
I know.
The whole thing, right?
The refreezing, I think, is the issue, but like, so some of our meats in the pantry is, the date is expired. But it was frozen prior to its expiration date, so it is good. You just couldn't thaw it and then refreeze it. Yeah. Yeah, that's a common question, because you'll see that a lot in pantries. Grocery stores will donate meat, maybe it's 7 days till expiration, and then they don't think anyone at the grocery store will buy it, so they'll donate it out to pantries. It gets frozen immediately. But if it's on our shelf, and it looks like it's expired, that's a common question we get all the time, but it was frozen prior to its expiration date, and so that way it is good.
Question?
Yeah.
Is Fish and Loaves unique to Michigan, or are there other Fish and Loaves in other states, or?
This organization's unique to this area, there's only one of us. Yep. Yeah, we were founded 15 years ago, 2008. At that time, well, even earlier, they had started researching a lot of different faith leaders, different church leaders of all different faiths came together to try to solve two problems, housing and food insecurity. And their first venture, Fish and Loaves, kind of got tabled. They didn't pick it up. Their first venture was ChristNet, which we've all met and known, which is in Taylor. And then about 10 years later or so, churches were experiencing kind of the same thing. They were having a hard time keeping pantries at their church, getting volunteers, staffing it, etc. And so they came together to form Fish and Loaves. So we've been running ever since. Yeah, good question. Any other questions? I could talk about Fish and Loaves all day long, so thank you, and I appreciate it. On our website, you can learn ways to volunteer, to donate, or to run a food drive. So if you're interested in any of those things, just check out our website, and I have cards available, obviously. And then everyone should have picked up a food drive flyer that Chris put together for us. This will run through October 23rd, so if you're interested in getting some boxes for your location, just let me know. Okay, thank you.